Here's the truth. Women don't fall in love the way men think they do. Most guys believe if they just treat her well, buy her gifts, or constantly prove their loyalty, she will naturally fall deeper in love. But reality hits hard. Many men do all that and still end up ignored, friend-zoned, or left behind. If you've ever wondered why she lost interest even though you gave her everything, you're not alone. Countless men fall into the same trap. The truth is, women don't fall in love with comfort. They fall in love with tension, mystery, and the masculine presence that makes them feel alive. She doesn't obsess over the man who bends for her every demand she craves, the one who stands firm, calm, and unshaken. That's where Stoicism becomes your secret weapon. This philosophy, born from ancient wisdom, teaches men how to remain centered, detached from constant validation, and focused on what they can control. When you live this way, you don't just attract her attention, you create the emotional spark that makes her fall deeply in love and stay there. In this video, I'll break down how female psychology really works, why women truly fall for certain men, and how applying Stoic principles can transform the way you approach love and attraction. Let's get into it. Number 1. She falls for the man who doesn't need her. Here's something most men get completely wrong. Women don't truly fall in love with the guy who bends over backwards just to please them. They don't lose sleep over the man who's constantly available, who replies instantly, who sacrifices his own priorities to orbit around her world. Instead, women are drawn almost uncontrollably to the man who stands strong without needing her to validate his worth. Why is that? Because neediness is the fastest way to kill attraction. The moment she feels like she has complete control over you, the mystery is gone. And when the mystery disappears, so does her desire. On the other hand, when a man radiates independence, when his life has direction and meaning beyond her, she feels something powerful: respect. And respect is the foundation of lasting attraction. Take Jake, for example, a 9-year-old graphic designer living in Austin. He was dating Sarah, 26, who adored how sweet and attentive he was at first. But over time, Jake's neediness started to show. He texted her constantly, rearranged his schedule to fit hers, and made her the center of his world. At first, Sarah enjoyed the attention, but soon she began to pull away. Why? Because deep down, she wanted to feel like she was joining a man's life, not becoming the only reason it had meaning. Now contrast that with another guy Sarah met around the same time. Let's call him Mark, 31, an entrepreneur. Mark liked her, but he didn't need her. His schedule was full: business meetings, workouts, time with friends, and personal goals. He was present when they were together, but he never begged for her time. Sarah found herself chasing him, thinking about him, and wondering what he was doing when he wasn't with her. Notice the difference? One man made her feel like she was his only source of happiness. The other made her feel like she had to earn a place in his already fulfilling life. This is the power of Stoicism applied to attraction. A Stoic man doesn't place his happiness in the hands of another person. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." When you embody that mindset, you naturally become less needy. You stop chasing her approval, because your sense of value doesn't depend on whether she texts you back, laughs at your jokes, or gives you attention. Think about it. The man who doesn't need her doesn't mean he's cold or indifferent. It means he's whole, centered, and complete within himself. And women find that magnetic. It signals strength, self-respect, and emotional stability, qualities that make a woman feel safe and excited at the same time. So if you want her to fall in love with you, don't give her the impression that she's the only thing holding your world together. Show her that you already have a life worth living and invite her to be part of it. When she sees you as the man who chooses her but doesn't need her, she will invest more, chase harder, and fall deeper. Now let me ask you, have you ever noticed how women pull away the moment you become too available? Drop your thoughts in the comments and write, "I choose myself." That one phrase alone will remind you and everyone reading that your value doesn't come from anyone else's approval. And stick around, because in the next part we'll uncover another powerful truth about how women fall in love, and it might completely change the way you see relationships forever. Number 2. Emotional tension makes her crave you. Here's a truth most men overlook. Attraction isn't born in comfort, it's born in tension. Think about it. If everything between you and her feels predictable, flat, and overly secure, the spark eventually dies. What keeps her hooked is the thrill of uncertainty, the subtle push and pull that makes her wonder, does he want me as much as I want him? That emotional tension is the fuel that keeps her craving more of you. When you're always quick to please, when you never disagree, when you remove every ounce of friction, you're not creating love, you're creating boredom. But when you allow moments of tension, when you don't rush to fill every silence, when you can hold your frame even if she tests you, that's when she feels something powerful. She feels alive. She feels drawn to you in a way she can't explain. The Stoics understood this dynamic in life itself. Epictetus once said, "Difficulties are things that show a person what they are." Apply that to attraction, and you'll see that emotional friction is not something to fear, but something that reveals strength. When she throws a playful challenge your way, and you respond with calm confidence instead of desperation, she sees a man who doesn't crumble under pressure. That calmness, that steadiness, makes her feel both respect and desire. Imagine this. You're on a date, and she teases you about something, maybe the way you order food, or the fact that you took too long to reply to her text. Most men would immediately defend themselves, scrambling to fix the issue. But the man who understands emotional tension doesn't fall into that trap. He smiles, lets the silence hang for a second, and responds with calm playfulness. That pause, that moment of uncertainty, builds a charge between the two of you. She feels the tension, and instead of running from it, she's pulled deeper into it. It's the same with availability. If you're constantly at her beck and call, she feels no tension because she knows she has you. But if sometimes you're busy, focused on your goals, not always immediately accessible, she starts to think about you more. She wonders what you're doing, who you're with, why you're not responding instantly. That gap between her desire and your presence, that's tension. And it makes her crave your attention even more. But here's the key. Emotional tension doesn't mean playing cruel games or manipulating her emotions. It's not about being cold, dismissive, or toxic. It's about holding your frame and allowing space for her to invest emotionally. The right amount of uncertainty creates excitement. It transforms every interaction from routine into something electric. Think of it like this. When you watch a great movie, you don't know what's going to happen next. The suspense keeps you glued to the screen. Attraction works the same way. If she knows exactly how you'll react, if every move is predictable, the story ends before it even begins. But if you create suspense through your presence, your responses, and your ability to let tension breathe, she won't just want you, she'll crave you. And once again, Stoicism gives us the perfect reminder. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The mind adapts and converts to its own purposes the obstacle to our acting." In relationships, the obstacle is often that space, that friction, that tension, but instead of rushing to remove it, you let it work in your favor. You allow it to transform desire into something deeper and stronger. So, don't run from emotional tension. Don't fear the silence, the playful banter, or even the disagreements. Lean into them, because it's not the constant comfort that makes her fall, it's the magnetic pull of uncertainty. Now, I want to hear from you. Drop a comment below and write, "I embrace the tension." It's a bold statement, but it shows you understand the power of emotional charge in attraction. Stay with me, because in the next part, we're going to uncover another layer of female psychology, something that explains why pacing the relationship is far more powerful than rushing into it. Trust me, you won't want to miss it. Number 3. Mystery ignites obsession. If there's one thing that drives a woman crazy in the best way possible, it's mystery. And I don't mean being shady or dishonest. I mean not laying all your cards on the table at once. See, the male instinct often pushes us to overshare, to tell her everything about our past, our future goals, and every detail of our daily lives in hopes that she'll feel closer to us. But here's the truth. When there's nothing left to discover, there's nothing left to chase. Women fall in love not just with who you are, but with the process of uncovering who you are. They want to peel back the layers, to feel like they're slowly unlocking a side of you that others don't get to see. That's where obsession begins, when she feels like she's on a journey of discovery and you're not rushing her to the end of the book. Let me give you a real-world example. Take Chris, 29, and Jessica, 27. Chris was a hard-working software engineer, but he had a tendency to overshare. On their first few dates, he told Jessica about his exes, his entire family drama, even how much he had in his savings account. Jessica liked him, but she felt like there was no sense of mystery, no spark of curiosity. Compare that with another man she casually met around the same time. He didn't reveal everything at once. He shared glimpses of his passions, small stories that hinted at bigger experiences, and let her imagination do the rest. That man wasn't better than Chris on paper, but he was magnetic because Jessica couldn't stop thinking, what else don't I know about him? Mystery works because the mind craves unanswered questions. When you leave space, you give her room to project her own imagination onto you, and often what she imagines is even more powerful than the reality. The Stoics understood this too, though in a different context. Seneca once said, "It is a great man who can be obscure and yet still command attention." Think about that in relationships. You don't need to shout your value from the rooftops. You don't need to explain every detail of your life to prove you're worth her time. Your quiet confidence, your ability to hold something back, is what makes her lean in closer. Mystery also ties directly to respect. If you're too open too soon, it can come across as neediness, like you're desperate for her validation. But when you share yourself in layers, you send a clear message: I value my own world enough to protect it, and only those who earn it get full access. That subtle boundary creates a dynamic where she's not just interested, she's invested. Now, here's the practical takeaway. The next time you're tempted to reveal everything, pause. If she asks about your past relationships, you don't have to give a full timeline with names and dates. Instead, you can share a small insight, then pivot back to the present moment. If she asks about your future plans, give her a glimpse of your vision, but leave the details for another time. The goal isn't to be evasive, it's to pace the intimacy so that she's always leaning forward, always craving more. And here's something you'll notice. Mystery doesn't just make her curious, it makes her obsessed. Because every time she's not with you, her mind will replay the things you've said, the hints you've dropped, and the unanswered questions you left hanging. That's what creates emotional investment. So remember, you don't have to reveal every chapter of your story right away. Let her discover you slowly. Let her imagination do some of the work. That's how mystery transforms attraction into obsession. Now, I'd love to hear from you. Drop a comment below and write, "I choose mystery." It's a simple statement, but it shows you understand how powerful it is to let curiosity work in your favor. And stay tuned, because what comes next will show you how women don't just crave mystery, they get hooked when you combine it with something even more powerful. Number 4. Masculine calm melts her walls. Have you ever noticed how women seem to open up around a man who radiates calm confidence? It's not about being flashy, not about being loud, and definitely not about trying to prove yourself. Instead, it's the quiet strength, the masculine calm that silently tells her, "I'm in control of myself, and nothing can shake me." This energy is rare, and because it's rare, it's incredibly attractive. In a world where most men overreact, chase, and panic when things don't go their way, the man who can stay centered becomes unforgettable. Imagine this. She tests you with silence, with sarcasm, or even with a delayed response. The weak man spirals, sending more texts, explaining himself, apologizing for things he didn't even do wrong. But the man anchored in calm doesn't flinch. He doesn't ignore her out of spite. He simply doesn't let her behavior dictate his state. That composure melts her defenses more than any grand gesture ever could. The Stoics understood this deeply. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." When a woman feels this kind of strength in you, it creates safety. Safety not in the sense that you're soft or overly agreeable, but that you're grounded. And when she feels that grounded energy, her walls begin to crumble. Her doubts, her defenses, and her resistance fade because she realizes she cannot control you with games, and paradoxically, that makes her want you even more. Think about it. Feminine energy is often like a storm, emotional, unpredictable, intense. Masculine energy, when expressed correctly, is like a mountain. The storm may rage, but the mountain does not move. That unshakable presence gives her permission to relax into her feminine side. That's when attraction deepens, because she feels safe being vulnerable. Now here's the mistake many men make. They confuse calmness with coldness. True masculine calm is not about being emotionally unavailable. It's about being emotionally steady. You don't meet her storm with another storm, and you don't retreat in fear. You stand tall, composed, unbothered, and this balance draws her in, because it's exactly what she craves, but rarely finds. A woman might put up walls, sarcasm, aloofness, or challenges, not always to push you away, but often to test if you're strong enough to remain grounded. If you lose your frame, she knows she can't rely on you when life really gets difficult. But if you stay calm, you prove yourself not with words, but with presence. The beauty of this is that you don't have to force it. You don't have to act tough or play a role. It's about discipline, self-mastery, and learning to control your own emotions first. That's why the Stoics practiced daily reflection, journaling, and meditation to remain calm in the face of chaos. When you embody that, you don't need to tell her you're strong. She feels it in the way you breathe, the way you pause before reacting, and the way you carry yourself when things don't go as planned. So the next time you feel tested, remember this: the storm doesn't need to be fought. It only needs a mountain strong enough to withstand it. That is the energy that melts her walls and makes her truly fall in love. Now I want to hear from you. Have you been that mountain, or have you let the storm shake you? Drop a comment and lock it in with, "I stay unshaken." And don't go anywhere, because what we'll explore next will completely change the way you think about attraction. It's not about what you show her, it's about what you make her feel when you're not even trying. Stay tuned. Number 5. She bonds only through earned intimacy. Here's something that most men miss. Real intimacy with a woman cannot be rushed, bought, or forced. It has to be earned. She might enjoy your attention. She might like hanging out with you. But when it comes to truly bonding with you, connecting on a level where she can't stop thinking about you, there's only one way it happens. Through intimacy that you've earned by who you are, not by what you give. Think about it this way. Women are bombarded with men trying to buy their affection with constant compliments, expensive dinners, or endless texting. At first glance, it might look like she enjoys it. But deep down, none of that makes her obsessed. Why? Because none of it required her to invest. Intimacy that isn't earned feels cheap, and cheap never holds value. Take Jake, a 29-year-old software engineer from Austin. He was the classic nice guy, always available, quick to say yes, always offering to help. At first, Sarah, a 27-year-old nurse he was dating, enjoyed the attention, but over time she felt no spark. Why? Because Jake gave everything up front. There was no challenge, no reason for her to earn his trust or his affection. She didn't feel the thrill of slowly breaking down his layers. Without that, there was no real bond. Now compare that to when Sarah later met a man who carried himself differently. He didn't overshare. He wasn't rude or distant, but he made her invest in the connection. She had to earn his time, his affection, and most importantly, his intimacy. And because of that, every step forward felt valuable. She bonded with him deeply because she felt like she had worked for it. Here's the truth. Women don't fall in love by what you give them. They fall in love by what they give to you. When she invests, when she earns your intimacy, the connection becomes real. That's when she begins to truly bond with you. Because the relationship isn't built on convenience or availability, it's built on effort. The Stoics understood this principle long before modern psychology confirmed it. Epictetus said, "What comes too quickly is not valued." This wisdom applies perfectly here. If you hand over your heart, your time, and your energy without any standards, why would she treasure it? But when you live with discipline, when you carry yourself with standards, your intimacy becomes something rare, something she has to earn. This is why masculine calm and self-control are so powerful. If you can hold back from oversharing, from rushing, from giving yourself away too easily, you create space for her to lean in. You create tension, and in that tension, desire grows. Women bond not when everything is handed to them, but when they feel like they've truly unlocked a deeper part of you. And here's a subtle but crucial point. Earned intimacy isn't just physical, it's emotional and mental too. You don't reveal your deepest thoughts to someone who hasn't proven trustworthy. You don't give your weekends away to someone who treats you casually, and you definitely don't open your heart to someone who hasn't invested in you. By holding your ground, you create value around your presence. Jake's mistake, and the mistake many men make, was thinking that giving more would create connection. In reality, it was the opposite. Connection comes from mutual effort. The man who understands this is the one women obsess over, because his intimacy feels real, not disposable. So, let me ask you, are you giving away your intimacy for free, or are you making her earn it? Drop your answer in the comments and claim it with, "I protect my value." And don't click away just yet, because the next point will show you why attraction often grows stronger when you don't try to control it, and why letting things flow naturally can turn her curiosity into full-blown obsession. Stay tuned. Number 6. Confidence without validation makes her chase. Here's the truth most men don't realize. Women are naturally drawn to men who are confident in themselves without needing anyone's approval. When your sense of worth isn't tied to her compliments, her attention, or her validation, you immediately stand apart from the crowd. Most men are constantly trying to prove themselves, fishing for approval, waiting for that little nod that says, "You're good enough." But the man who doesn't need it, he's magnetic. Let's make it real. Take Chris, a 30-year-old sales consultant in Chicago. He was dating Emily, 28, a graphic designer. Chris had always been used to charming women by complimenting them excessively, always making sure they knew how much he adored them. But Emily noticed something. While his words were sweet, his energy was needy. Every time she didn't reply right away, he grew anxious. Every time she didn't give him the reaction he wanted, he overcompensated. Slowly, the attraction faded. Contrast that with Jason, 27, who Emily later met at a friend's birthday party. Jason was warm, funny, and attentive, but here's the key. He wasn't performing for her. If Emily laughed, great. If she didn't, he didn't care. He didn't lean in for approval. His confidence was rooted in himself, not in how she responded. And that's what hooked her. She found herself chasing his attention, replaying their conversations in her head, wondering what he thought of her. Why does this work? Because women crave a man who doesn't wobble under pressure. The Stoics spoke to this long ago. Marcus Aurelius said, The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. That line carries real weight here. When your confidence is built on your own principles and self-respect, no outside reaction can shake it. And ironically, this very steadiness makes her want to win your validation instead of the other way around. Confidence without seeking validation sends a silent but powerful message. It tells her you are secure in who you are, and it shows you won't collapse if she pulls away. That combination is intoxicating because it flips the script. Instead of you lying awake at night asking, "Does she like me?" she's the one replaying moments in her head, wondering, "What does he think of me? Did I impress him?" But let's be clear, this doesn't mean becoming cold or arrogant. A man who ignores her completely or acts superior loses the point. True confidence has a calm energy. You can still compliment her, still show appreciation, but it comes from a place of abundance, not neediness. It's the difference between saying, "You look beautiful tonight," because you genuinely mean it, versus saying it hoping she'll reassure you in return. The reality is that women don't fall for the man who needs their validation. They fall for the man who is already steady, already whole, and whose presence alone makes them want to earn his admiration. That shift in energy is what creates pursuit. So let me ask you, are you living for her validation, or are you grounded in your own? If you're ready to commit to confidence, drop this in the comments. I stand firm. And before you scroll away, remember there's an even deeper layer to attraction that doesn't rely on what you say, but on something much subtler and far more powerful. Stick around, because that's coming next. Number 7. Presence over performance wins her desire. Here's a mistake so many men make. They believe they need to perform to impress women. They put on a show, they exaggerate their achievements, they try too hard to be the funniest, the loudest, the most interesting guy in the room. But the truth is that performance usually backfires. It feels forced, it feels hollow. What women truly crave is presence, your ability to be fully there, grounded and engaged in the moment without needing to put on a mask. Think about it. Olivia, 26, a marketing associate from Denver, once told her friend why she lost interest in a guy she had been seeing. His name was Brian, 29, a software engineer. Brian tried so hard to win her over. He always had to have the clever punchline, always turned conversations back to his job success, and constantly filled silences with unnecessary chatter. Olivia said it felt like she was watching him audition for her approval, instead of just spending time together. Over time, it became exhausting. Now compare that with someone like Daniel, 31, a personal trainer Olivia later dated. Daniel wasn't trying to perform. When they were together, he didn't need to dominate the room or show off. Instead, he listened intently, asked thoughtful questions, and wasn't afraid of silence. Olivia recalled sitting with him at a quiet coffee shop, where he simply leaned back, looked her in the eyes, and gave her his full attention. That presence was magnetic. She said it made her feel valued and desired in a way performance never could. Why does presence work so powerfully? Because it taps into something deeper. Women don't want a circus act. They want to feel a man's calm confidence. A man who is present signals strength. He isn't distracted, isn't desperate for validation. He is grounded. And when a woman feels that energy, her defenses melt, and she naturally leans into desire. The Stoics understood this principle centuries ago. Epictetus said, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak." Presence is built on listening, on being steady, on letting moments breathe instead of rushing to fill them. So instead of asking yourself, "How can I impress her?" start asking, "How can I be fully here with her?" When you drop the performance and embrace true presence, that's when she feels safe, drawn in, and ultimately more attracted to you than any flashy words or rehearsed lines could ever accomplish. Now let me throw it to you. Are you ready to replace performance with presence? If yes, drop this in the comments. I am here. And don't go anywhere, because while presence draws her in, there's another subtle but powerful shift that makes her fight to hold on to you once she's hooked. You'll want to hear this. Number 8. Silence seduces stronger than words. Most men think that the way to capture a woman's attention is through endless words, compliments, stories, jokes, and explanations. But what they don't realize is that silence, when used with confidence, is infinitely more seductive. Words can lose their power when they're overused. Silence, on the other hand, creates tension, mystery, and space for desire to grow. Imagine this: you're sitting across from a woman, and instead of rushing to fill every gap in the conversation, you simply hold her gaze for a moment. That pause, calm, steady, intentional, says more than 100 clever lines could. She starts wondering what you're thinking, whether you're fully aware of the effect you're having on her. That's the power of silence. It makes her imagination do the work for you, and when her imagination gets involved, her emotions follow. The Stoics understood this subtle strength. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The more we value things outside our control, the less control we have." Silence is a form of control. It shows you're not desperate to impress with words or explain yourself. You're comfortable enough with yourself to let the moment breathe. That calm detachment makes you stand out, because most men lean into nervous chatter, while the rare man who embraces silence radiates power. Silence also shifts the balance of who is pursuing whom. When you're not rushing to fill the space, she feels the urge to lean in, to bridge the gap, to invest more into the interaction. It's subtle psychology. The less you chase with words, the more she wants to close the distance with curiosity and connection. Think about how seductive silence feels in other areas of life. A well-timed pause in music makes the next note more powerful. A cliffhanger in a story makes you desperate to turn the page. Human interaction works the same way. Silence, when paired with presence, becomes irresistible. So the next time you're with her, don't fear the pause, embrace it. Hold her gaze, let the air grow heavier, and watch as she starts to do the chasing without even realizing it. Now I want to hear from you. Are you ready to master the art of seductive silence? If so, comment below with, "I hold power." No. And stick around, because what comes next isn't just about silence or presence. It's about the final shift that flips the entire dynamic and makes her fall even harder. Trust me, you don't want to miss it. Number 9. Standards spark respect and sexual tension. Here's a truth many men overlook. Women don't fall deeply for the guy who bends to every demand. They fall for the man who carries himself with standards, boundaries that show he values himself. Standards aren't about being rigid or arrogant. They're about silently communicating, "I know my worth, and I won't compromise it just to keep you." And when a woman senses that, her respect grows, and so does her attraction. Let's make this real with an example. Take Ethan, 29, who's been casually dating Rachel, 27. Rachel is fun, but sometimes she cancels last minute or flirts a bit too freely with other guys. Now, most men would brush it off, afraid to rock the boat. But Ethan calmly tells her, "If you want my time, respect it. If not, that's fine, but I won't wait around." He doesn't shout, doesn't beg, doesn't guilt trip. He simply states his standard and sticks to it. Rachel suddenly feels the weight of that boundary. Instead of losing interest, she leans in harder. Why? Because a man with standards is rare, and women know deep down that's the kind of man worth chasing. Standards also create a unique kind of sexual tension. When you don't give in to every request, when you aren't always available, when you expect effort in return, you're no longer just another guy. You become a challenge. And challenge, in the world of attraction, is magnetic. It makes her feel like she has to earn you. And the more she invests in earning you, the deeper her desire grows. Philosophers understood this centuries ago. Epictetus, the Stoic, said, How long will you put off demanding the best of yourself? That demand for the best doesn't just apply to your personal discipline, it extends to the way you let people, especially women, treat you. When you set standards, you're silently telling her, "This is the level of man I am. If you want access to me, rise to it." Rachel's reaction to Ethan isn't unique. Most women respect men who draw lines with calm certainty. Standards don't push women away, they pull the right ones closer, while filtering out those who aren't serious. And in the process, they spark a deeper kind of chemistry. Because when respect is present, desire thrives. So ask yourself, are you setting the kind of standards that spark respect and tension? Or are you silently teaching her that she can walk all over you? Drop a comment below and affirm it with, "I set standards." And here's the thing, you've seen how silence, presence, and standards change everything. But there's one last principle that takes it all to the next level. The kind of principle that flips the power dynamic completely in your favor. Stay tuned. Number 10. She falls hardest for the man who can walk away. If there's one truth that cuts deeper than all the others we've covered, it's this. Nothing commands more respect or attraction than a man who can walk away. Not in anger, not in bitterness, but in calm certainty that his value doesn't depend on one woman's approval. When a man embodies that energy, he becomes the rarest presence in her world. And paradoxically, that's exactly what makes her fall the hardest. Think about it. The majority of men cling. They compromise their principles, overinvest their emotions, and stay in situations that drain them, all because they're terrified of losing her. That fear radiates, and women can sense it. On the other hand, a man who knows he can leave at any moment sends a very different message. I am complete on my own. If this connection doesn't serve both of us, I'll walk away without hesitation. That calm indifference doesn't push her away, it magnetizes her, because it proves he's not bound by neediness. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." Apply that here. If the relationship isn't aligned with who you are, you don't force it, you don't beg it's not right, so you let it go. That clarity, that discipline, transforms you from a man chasing affection into a man embodying strength. Picture this in action. A woman tests your boundaries by pulling away, giving you the silent treatment, or even threatening to leave. Most men would panic, scramble, beg for another chance. But the man who calmly replies, "I won't fight for a place in someone's life who doesn't want me there," flips the dynamic instantly. Instead of losing power, he gains it. And more often than not, she's the one who comes back because she realizes she's dealing with a man who will never tolerate less than he deserves. This doesn't mean you should be reckless, cold, or quick to discard people. Walking away isn't about punishment, it's about self-respect. It's about choosing peace over chaos, authenticity over pretense. It's about showing her and yourself that your life's direction doesn't hinge on whether one relationship works out. And when a woman feels that unshakable core, it creates an almost addictive pull. She knows she can't control you, can't manipulate you, can't own you the way she might with other men. That's why she falls harder for you than anyone else. At the end of the day, walking away is the final proof that you are not afraid to lose her because you never lost yourself. And in a world full of men who chase, cling, and beg, that makes you unforgettable. When you master this, you don't just attract women. You inspire respect, admiration, and a kind of desire that only grows stronger over time. That's the power of being the man who can walk away. In this video, we've uncovered the deep truths about how women truly fall in love and what makes them stay. From keeping mystery alive, controlling your emotions, to holding strong standards and masculine calm, it all comes down to one thing: mastering yourself. The real value here is clear. When you live with confidence, discipline, and independence, you don't just attract women, you inspire their respect and create a lasting desire that runs deeper than just surface attraction. If you found this helpful and want to keep learning more about female psychology and the art of self-mastery through Stoicism, make sure to subscribe to the channel right now. There's so much more powerful knowledge waiting for you in the next videos. See you in the next one.